Welcome to Raj Malhotra's IAS Academy. I'm Surbhi Sardana and this is the second session of Prelims Sprint 2022. Here we cover the most important topics that you definitely should study for clearing prelims this year. And the topic for today is United Nations and its organs. First of all, let's see the structure of United Nations. See, United Nations has a very vast structure, but for today we'll be discussing only the principal organs of United Nations, which are: the first one is General Assembly, the second one is Security Council, third is ECOSOC, Economic and Social Council, fourth is the Secretariat, fifth is International Court of Justice or the World Court, and the sixth one is the Trusteeship Council. So moving on, these are the five main organs. The sixth one is the Trusteeship Council. It is not active right now, so but we'll read briefly about this, and then let's see what we can study further. So the motto of United Nations, very important to remember, is peace, dignity and equality on a healthy planet, and this is the thing that drives, this is the aim of United Nations, ensuring peace, dignity and equality and ensuring a healthy planet for all. So the first one is United Nations General Assembly. This is the first organ of United Nations. General Assembly है क्या? जैसे इंडिया में पार्लियामेंट है जहाँ पर सारे इलेक्टेड रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स बैठते हैं, पॉलिसीज़ बनाते हैं. Just like that, we have United Nations General Assembly at the international level. All the member countries are a member of General Assembly. This is the only organ of United Nations where all the member countries have one vote each. Every country, every member state is represented equally. There are two observers to General Assembly, Palestine and Vatican City. So the main purpose of having General Assembly is that everybody comes, sits together, discusses and makes policies. So it is the main deliberative, policy making and representative organ of United Nations. The second important function is that it approves the United Nations budget. Money matters are approved by General Assembly. तो United Nations के पास पैसा आता कहाँ से है? There are two ways of getting money for United Nations. One is the voluntary contribution of every country. Any member country can donate to United Nations or any of its organs. The second one is कंपल्सरी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन. जिस कंट्री की जितनी इकोनॉमिक कैपेसिटी है उस बेसिस पर उसका कंपल्सरी कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन नोटिफाई किया जाता है, एंड एवरी ईयर दैट कंट्री हैज़ टू मेक अ सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशन टू यूएन बजट. सो दिस इज़ अबाउट इट. कुछ भी अगर गलत होता है इंटरनेशनल स्फेयर में, सो यूनाइटेड नेशन हैज़ द पावर टू सेंशर दैट कंट्री, टू स्टॉप दैट country from doing that wrong. For example, it has censured Syria in the past. It has condemned actions of Russia when it acquired annexed Crimea. Now also a lot of discussion and debates are going on in United Nations General Assembly, especially when this Russia-Ukraine crisis is in the limelight, is happening. So this is about it. Many resolutions are passed in United Nations General Assembly, but जो भी budget pass होता है, whatever budget is passed in General Assembly, that is binding on all the members. 193 members हैं, सबका one seat है. The only thing that the only area where General Assembly does not have any role to play is ensuring peace and stability, peace and international security. Peace and international security ensure करना United Nations Security Council का काम है. United Nations Security Council ensures peace and security at an international level. So this we've studied. Make sure that you know that Palestine and Vatican City are observer states. They are not members of United Nations. Now the second one is United Nations Security Council. So Security Council has 15 members. 15 members out of which 5 are permanent. 5 are permanent, which are these: United Kingdom, United States of America, Russia, UK and France. So these are 5 permanent members, and apart from that 10 non-permanent members are elected every year by the United Nations General Assembly. They elect the members, the non-permanent members, by 2/3 majority to the United Nations Security Council, and these members have a tenure of 2 years. As of now, India is also a non-permanent member of Security Council. It is the 8th time that India has got this non-permanent membership. So now Security Council का काम होता है international peace and security maintain करना. How does it maintain international peace and security? First, it can stop the countries who are committing crimes or any crimes that are being committed in any part of the world. It can pass resolutions which are binding on the governments. Governments have to follow the resolutions of Security Council. This is binding. Secondly, it sends peacekeeping operations to various parts of the world. जहाँ पे poverty ज़्यादा है, जहाँ पे health crisis है, जहाँ पे hunger crisis है, या जहाँ पर कुछ भी riots चल रहे हैं, जहाँ पर military ने occupy कर लिया है, बहुत सारे लोग problems में हैं. There, like in these needed areas, Security Council can send peacekeeping operations. And one thing that you have to keep in mind is that India is one of the largest contributor to peacekeeping operations of Security Council. So from here we know that we contribute a lot to United Nations, monetary terms में भी और human resources में भी. So we deserve a permanent seat at Security Council. From here comes the topic of G4 nations. See, these are the countries. G4 countries are basically 4 countries including India, Brazil, Germany, India and Japan. They say that when Security Council was formed after World War II, then there were permanent members of Security Council. Whatever 5 permanent members are there, these are basically the ones who won World War II or who were the successors of winners of World War II. So that time having only 5 permanent members in Security Council was justified. But now international order has changed. Other countries have been contributing a lot to Security Councils and Council and United Nations in general. So these permanent members, what they have is they have a veto power, that any resolution that is passed, no matter how much is the majority, if even one member of them says no, that we do not want this resolution to be passed, then that resolution is vetoed, that bill dies, that resolution dies there. So it has to be started again. So this is a very important power that permanent members have in the decision making process of the international world order or the international politics. So here India with other 3 nations is bidding for a permanent seat at United Nations Security Council, and this is called this group is called the G4 nations. So but Security Council has not been reformed yet. Recently the President of United States of America acclaimed India and said that India does deserve a permanent seat at Security Council. But since there is so much support, there is also a lot of opposition, and that opposition is in the form of one group which is called Uniting for Consensus or the Coffee Club. They discuss why not to have permanent seats at the Security Council over coffee. So that's how you can remember it. This is called the Uniting for Consensus Club. It is led by Italy. Italy is the head of this club. They say that whatever permanent membership is there at Security Council, let it remain there, and without any discussion or deliberation, no country has the right to ask for permanent seats. So this group is opposing the permanent membership for these states. Pakistan is also included in this group. And obviously we have a lot of opposition from China for the permanent membership at UNSC for India. Apart from this, whatever new members have to be appointed for the General Assembly, as of now we have 193 member states. If any new members have to be appointed, they are recommended by the Security Council. It also approves changes to the UN Charter. What is UN Charter? The document on the basis of which the entire United Nations system is based. So it approves the UN Charter, sends peacekeeping operations, ensures international peace and security. This is the main function. And secondly, you must remember that UNSC can pass binding resolutions. No other organ of United Nations, not even International Court of Justice, can give binding resolutions. And the next part is that whatever 10 non-permanent members of Security Council are there, who are elected on for a 2-year term, they are elected on a regional basis. So this is for equitable geographical distribution, that every part of the world gets a representation in Security Council every year. So this is 3 countries are there from African group, African countries every year. 2 countries are there from this Asia and Pacific group. 2 countries from Latin America and Caribbean group, and Western European countries and other groups have 2 countries each, and Eastern European group has just 1 country, and apart from that Middle East countries have a representation every year. So that's how they make for like 10 non-permanent members every year in the Security Council. The next one is United Nations Economic and Social Council. It's popularly called as ECOSOC. So this one has been in news because India is a member of it, and India has been appointed as a member of four very important committees. One of them is Committee on NGOs of ECOSOC. We'll discuss about its importance. But what is ECOSOC? What is its function? So we understand that we can have think tanks to support the government, to give ideas to government, to advise the government that what to do, what not to do. Similarly, United Nations has ECOSOC in place. It works like a think tank for United Nations. It observes whatever is happening at the international level and gives solution to United Nations to ensure its motto of healthy planet, safe planet, ensuring equitable rights for all. So that is its work. Apart from that, it coordinates the functions of all the specialized agencies of United Nations, which we will be discussing in the further lectures. So it coordinates the functions of General Assembly, Security Council, and all the specialized agencies that are there. So first of all, let's read this out, that what are its functions in detail. That it is responsible for promoting higher standards. The motto of United Nations stands for peace and dignity for a healthy planet, that is ensured by the observations and the advices that are given by ECOSOC. So promoting higher standards of living, full employment, economic and social progress. How does it do that? How does it do it? It identifies solutions to international economic, social and health problems. Security problems are handled by United Nations Security Council, while social, economic and health problems are identified by ECOSOC itself, and it facilitates international cultural and educational cooperation. It encourages universal respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. And ECOSOC, just like a think tank works, it does a lot of research. It consults many NGOs, many businesses. There are many advisors to ECOSOC that are there every year. So it is a very research based organization, very intelligent organization. So in carrying out its mandate, ECOSOC consults with academics, business sector representatives and more than 3,200 registered non-governmental organizations. So ECOSOC has 54 members which are appointed based on a voting in the United Nations General Assembly. 2/3 voting share has to be won by any country to become a member of these 45 membered ECOSOC, and every country has one vote each, and this voting happens on the basis of simple majority for most of the resolutions that are there, and seats which are allocated, we saw in the case of United Nations Security Council also that equitable geographical distribution is kept in mind while appointing 10 non-permanent members. Similarly, in case of ECOSOC, all the 54 members are given the seats on the basis of equitable geographical representation, and there are 11 seats for Asian countries every year. Now the important point here is that one of the most important committees of ECOSOC is the Committee for NGOs. It is considered the most important because if any country is a member of this committee, then it can recommend that which NGOs are genuine, and the non-genuine NGOs can be blocked by ECOSOC. So few days back, India has been appointed as a member of Committee on NGOs and 3 other committees: Committee for Social Development, Committee on Science and Technology for Development, and Committee for Economic and Social and Cultural Rights has got 1 member representation from India, from the side of India. So being appointed for like few days back, we discussed about the role of FCRA in regulating NGOs or foreign funding in India. So what happens is that many NGOs use this route of foreign funding to initiate crisis or riots in other parts of the world, and India is facing a lot of this problem. That so to regulate it, it is a very welcome step. It is a very good news that India has been appointed a member of this committee. The next one is the Trusteeship Council, the 4th organ of United Nations system. What is the Trusteeship Council? You know, after World War II, there was so much death and destruction in the world that at that point of time, not all countries and people could be rehabilitated. So this Trusteeship Council was formed, and it was made, this council was made to ensure that whatever countries are facing crisis, humanitarian crisis or disasters, or facing losses after World War II, they should be slowly moved towards establishing independent governments. So this was the role of a Trusteeship Council. The last country to establish an independent government was in 1994. It was Palau. After that, Trusteeship Council agreed that yes, now our role is almost over, so it continues to exist only on paper, and they also passed a resolution that now annual meetings are not required. So whenever in future any humanitarian crisis occurs and they see that they need to help a country to ensure independence or to have a stable government, this council will come back into action. So it was formed to provide international supervision for 11 trust territories that had been placed under the administration of member states, and to prepare those territories for self-government and independence. So as of now, it continues to exist only on paper. Moving on to the International Court of Justice, this is one of the most important organs of United Nations. So this is basically the court, the abjugating authority of United Nations. If two countries are are against each other and they have a problem against each other, then where do they go? They go to the International Court of Justice. One thing to remember here is that International Court of Justice is separate, is independent from International Criminal Court, or rather International Criminal Court is independent from the United Nations system. International Court of Justice is a major organ of United Nations, one of the 6 organs of United Nations. It has its seat in Hague, Netherlands. This is the only main organ of United Nations which is not seated in New York City. So make sure that you remember it. This is a very important point, that it is seated in the Peace Palace of Hague, Netherlands. And secondly, its official working languages are just English and French. For the United Nations system, there are 6 official languages. These are Arabic, French, Chinese, Russian, English and Spanish. So apart from 6 languages, ICJ, International Court of Justice, has only 2 official languages, just English and French. See, it is also known as the World Court. It settles the disputes between the states in accordance with international law. One thing, it settles the disputes. Secondly, if there is any international crisis going on, or it sees, International Court of Justice thinks that their advice is required on a situation, then they give that judicial advice also. They cannot take a case by themselves. If countries approach the International Court of Justice, then it is fine, then the case is started, the deliberations are begun. But the countries have to agree that yes, whatever International Court of Justice gives jurisdiction, we will agree to it. So International Court of Justice cannot take a matter on its own cause. It can give advices, and it can just settle the disputes between concerned countries on the basis of international law. Also, all the member countries of United Nations, they are automatically part of International Court of Justice, the Statute of International Court of Justice. There are 15 judges on ICJ at any given time, and these judges have a very long tenure. It is a 9-year tenure. So 15 judges are there, and P5 nations, the 5 permanent members of Security Council, they always have a judge on International Court of Justice. So now we know that how powerful and how skewed the power is in the Security Council, that these people always have a judge at this court. And ICC, about International Criminal Court, we've already studied. We'll discuss International Criminal Court in the upcoming videos, that what role does ICC have to play. The next one is UN Secretariat. UN Secretariat is nothing, just as we discussed about General Assembly, you can compare it to the Indian Parliament. Both are the policy making organs of the government or of the international government. Union Secretariat is the executive arm of United Nations. Paperwork, coordination, discussing timetables, setting agendas. Who does all this? The United Nations Secretariat. It is headed by the Secretary General. He is like Mr. Antonio Guterres as of now. So all the deliberation and who forms part of UN Secretariat? All the civil servants from the member nations that are coming. India also sends a lot of civil servants every year to United Nations. So all these civil servants of all the nations sit together and decide the further order, further agenda or further policies that have to be discussed in the United Nations General Assembly. So it coordinates the functions, it is the executive arm, it administers decisions of United Nations General Assembly or Security Council. It checks what is happening and what is not being carried out according to the decisions of UN mandate. So this is its role. It undertakes the day-to-day work of United Nations, administering the programs and policies of the organization. It is headed by the Secretary General and assisted by a staff of international civil servants worldwide. So as civil servants, I'm sure one of your goals would be to, sit in United Nations Secretariat and be making policies for the international global order. So it is the executive arm. This is something that you have to remember. Apart from that it sets the agenda for all the UN arms and United Nations organizations. So this was about United Nations and its principal organs. This was a very simple lecture. Whatever has been written here is available in the PDF in the link in the description below. You can download it from our Telegram channel. We are posting a lot of content to help you clear prelims. Make sure that you go back to the first lecture of prelim sprint. We discussed very important judgments in just 2-3 minutes. We are very sure that you will be able to correctly mark at least 4 to 5 questions if you watch that video before your prelims. So make sure that you stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and complete your targets over the weekend. Keep working hard.